Hi. Seriously. If you are wanting to start your own perfume business, if you're already like sort of in the process of doing that, I've been where you are. So here are some practical things to consider before or as you're doing so, just so you don't run into the same mistakes that I've made. Part of what it takes to start and run your own perfume business is to understand that perfume is a social tool and you need to be able to design for that. So you can be as avant-garde as you want, but it may cost you some or even many customers. But as long as those people are all in and they're willing to pay the price for the avant-garde thing, then it could be worth it. But just thinking more generally conventionally, or like in the middle, people use perfume as a social tool. It's a Veblen good, so it has a certain sort of image, a certain meaning attached to it, like a nice car. I can afford this thing, and oftentimes people want to project that image, that same image you see in the perfume ads that we all make fun of. But at the end of the day, people buy the perfume, so clearly it's resonating. Just saying. So you need to be able to not necessarily buy into all of that, but you need to be able to design for what's going on in the life of the customer you have in mind. You need to have a target customer in mind because you can't be all things to all people. So even if you do the most generic niche thing, it's still not going to appeal to the weirdos, like, or the avant-garde types. And I count myself among the weirdo avant-garde types, so don't take offense, please. My own perfumes are sort of designed for that niche. But what I'm trying to say is you need to be able to meet people where they are. You need to understand who your customer is, and you need to be able to speak in their language and solve the problems in their lives. And that isn't necessarily like, I don't know. You're not, obviously, we're not a utility company, but people still find perfume important for dating, for navigating corporate environments, for socializing. It might be something that gives them a boost of confidence, or that is a subject of discussion if everyone's quite awkward. It's a social tool, perfume, for social navigation, advancement, etc. So you have to be able to design with that in mind. And I can help with that as part of my perfume design and production service, if you are inclined to hire me. All right, so part of what it takes to start and run your own perfume business is you have to be willing to go to things. So what I mean by that is a lot of artists, a lot of creatives, a lot of first-time business owners think that if they build it, they will come. And no, you are fighting against a sea of internet detritus, good and bad. People will not engage with your message. They won't see your message unless you drill it into them. You don't need to be main road. So you don't need to be omnipresent. You don't need to be posting every hour. You just need to be consistent with however you choose to reach out to people, whether that's knocking on doors, that's something I've done, whether you're doing trade shows, whether you're posting on social media, SEO, email, ads, etc. Just doing a little bit each day, and towards the same people, and eventually they become aware of your services, your products, and they will come back if you are useful to them, basically. But if you're expecting to just build a website, you put the products online, maybe one or two photos, people won't just find it and magically tell everyone else. You have to get them interested and share what it is about your brand, what it is about your products that will make them care. Why should they care? Because it's going to cost them money. Why should they care? And that's the way you have to start thinking. And not all the time, but you need to be willing to put yourself out there, which is why, obviously, clearly an introverted type from voice. But I look rough. I've got my little green moo on. The sound's horrible. The washer is about to go. There's this beeping a few minutes. I need to turn it off. But I'm here putting myself out there for you, my prospective client. And you need to do the same with your prospective customers or clients, depending on how you're going to use the perfume. Part of what it takes to start and run your own perfume business is to recognize that you don't just need to go to things designed for your customer, their inner life. It's not just about your artistic vision. That vision needs to resonate for it to be successful. You need to you need to be able to balance art and commerce, which is what both of those points lead into. So you need to think like an artist, but you also need to think like a business. So you are an artistic business. One's not better than the other. You need to be able to balance both, because if the art doesn't work for your target customer, then you won't get sales and you won't have a business. But if you're all business, you might forget the artistic aspect of it. It still has to touch people's lives, souls, in a way that hasn't necessarily been done before. Or it has been done before, a scent memory. But it still needs to resonate emotionally with, it still needs to resonate emotionally with your target audience. And just in terms of art and commerce, that also means thinking of design aspects. So you might want, I don't know, saffron picked from the peak of a mountain, but obviously that's going to cost money. So if you're hiring someone out, then you need to be willing to pay for that. Just sorry, and that sounds rude, but it's just there are economics behind ingredient sourcing. Whether or not you hire me or you do this yourself, certain ingredients will cost more than others. So absolutes tend to cost more, or trend-led ingredients. So when I last checked, vetiver that can be a bit pricey depending on where you go. So you need to be able to think, and also it's my job to think, because if you hire me, like, can we get around this? Is there an analog that we can use that smells the same? There are some perfumes where there's an ingredient that's being marketed, but that ingredient's actually not present in the perfume. So you need to be able to think, not nickel and diming, but a little bit nickel and diming in terms of your design if you approach this yourself. If not, then that's my job to do within the budget we've agreed. So yeah, and then in terms of art as well, just not forgetting that it still needs to smell good, it still needs to resonate, it still needs to have a unique impact on the wearer. It needs to make you feel something. It can't just smell like everything else unless it's a dupe. But even then, I'd personally recommend making dupes your own, because you can only go so far, in my opinion, with the dupes business. I'm sort of neutral on dupes, but I do think you end up competing on price, and that's pretty much the only thing you can compete on, and that can make the business unsustainable. Part of what it takes to start and run your own perfume business is admin, especially if you're in the UK and the EU. You need to have your perfumes independently assessed. You need to then, to do that, you need to then source from all your suppliers documentation showing safety information, and then you need to create the formulation. It involves math. There's a video on how I did it there. I think there'll be like something popping up there. It'll probably be on the other side, but we'll see. And it just shows the very long, kind of boring process. Like, a lot of perfumery professionally isn't actually making perfume, it's the admin around it, just due to safety concerns with the skin. But yeah, essentially you'll need to have your products independently tested. You'll need to provide documentation for that to be done. And then you need to provide documentation once that testing is done, so the actual test document, to a registration platform called the SCPN. There's an equivalent in the EU called the CPNP, I believe. And then you also need to be aware of the admin around shipping abroad. It is super tricky and super annoying. I was not aware of it when I started my business. So shipping abroad involves a lot of admin. Customs needs to be considered. Essentially, your customers will be paying an arm and a leg for shipping, unless your perfume is really expensive and you can absorb the cost. There are also certain limits on perfumes or liquids in general being shipped abroad. A way around it might be like potpourri or like a solid product. But I would maybe just do your research on shipping internationally before you sort of go earnestly on this business, because it's almost certain that you'll be restricted to your home region before you sort of expand and then consider internationally. There are middle men that you can use that assist with selling abroad. I'm not sure what the margins are on that. I don't do it myself, but that is a possibility. But that just depends on reaching out to the people in question and getting approved for their distribution network. Part of what it means to start and run your own perfume business is marketing. I'll focus on digital marketing because that's where I have the most experience, but you can do in-person campaigns as well, such as trade shows, flyers, TV spots, although that's, you would not be watching this video if you have TV spot money, unless you're rich, I guess, but not recommended. First go out. Billboards, etc. Or even like guerrilla advertising, so I don't know, graffiti or whatever, but I wouldn't recommend that legally. But focusing on digital marketing, there's SEO, there's email, there's social media, there's ads, there's something called offsite SEO, so basically PR, press, and then there are like podcast appearances, and then physical media we've already covered, and that's enough for me looking at my notes because I think I know the rest off by heart. So with ads, that depends on your budget, because again, like you can, not again, but just you have the budget for making the perfumes, whether you hire me or do it yourself. But what a lot of people don't think about is the runway to getting sales, because again, people think if they build it, people will come, and that is not generally the case. So you need to be willing to reach out to people, and that is done through digital marketing, and that needs to be done consistently, because many platforms will restrict your reach. They want you to pay to be seen by your followers, the followers you spent years building, which is why my Instagram looks rubbish, because I'm just like, why bother? Facebook as well, although apparently that's a bit better now. There are social platforms that do offer organic reach, but with social media platforms, they seem to be vulnerable to political headwinds, corporate changes, more so than email platforms, SEO platforms seem to be. I would put email as the gold standard, because you have their contact information. They've also consented to being contacted by you. You can contact them continuously, and you can customize those messages throughout the year, whether it's a blog post, a holiday promotion. It can't just all be sales. You have to offer value as well, or like behind the scenes looks. Like, these are genuine fans of your company. So it's beholden on you to really lean into that. That is your community. So feed that community, foster it, and hopefully grow it down the line using the other channels such as SEO, social media, your website having a pop-up button saying subscribe. All of that will be useful for getting your core customer base. I would also recommend, just slightly after email, SEO and website building. Website building, because you're not fighting an algorithm. People have to fight the SEO algorithm to get to, but it's a bit more straightforward than social media. But once they're on your website, you control the user experience, you control the narrative. People experience your brand fully as you intend. You can design for that. You can really explain your vision through blog posts. So I know you can do SEO blogs, but you can also do personal blogs. Just the washer. Need to turn it off. You can also do personal blogs, just really explaining your brand mission, and you can put those into email as well. Social media, I haven't gone too much into SEO, but it's super useful. You can basically target any problem that your customer wants to solve, or anything that interests them, and you create content around that, and they find your website, and so on. In terms of social media, you can then repurpose the email content, the SEO content, into social media. I go in and out on social media, but if I were to pick social media platforms, I know YouTube is kind of not one, but I'd consider it one. I'd consider YouTube, Reddit, and Pinterest because of their SEO value. That's just what I know. But with Instagram and Facebook, my personal experience, I can't speak for everyone else, is that my reach has been restricted, and I only have like 100 followers on there. But if only a few percent of people are seeing my posts, what's the point in having a follower count? Makes no sense if not all my followers see my posts. So you want something where there is a recommendation engine within the platform, and where there is a search engine within the platform, a robust one. So people are searching for queries and they find your stuff in the results if their query matches what you are making for them. With ads, again, it's intent based. That just depends on your runway in terms of budget. So I think the standard is like a £5 a day, like the minimum is like a £5 a day ad. I don't know how far that gets you now. I tend to focus on organic, but if you're doing ads, maybe focus on targeting specific customer profiles. It used to be affinity audiences, but that's changed since Apple. So you want to target maybe customer profiles, and then as like a Venn diagram tied in with like certain intents to purchase. So for example, maybe a birthday or an anniversary, like times where people get gifts. You can run the ads every day, or you can run them at certain times of the year. Although at peak times like holidays or special days, it may be more expensive. But that's a very basic approach to how I would do ads. But the point of all of this is, and also no one thing is any better than the other. You can choose one of these and just do it consistently. You can choose all of these, but just make sure it's within your bandwidth. And ideally, try to do 2, or at least test 2, and just stick with it for a couple of months. You don't have to do it like gung-ho, fully intense, every single day, every single hour. Even just 1 post a week, it's something, and then you try to maybe build up when you've got more bandwidth. So overall, what I would say is that part of what it takes to start and run your own perfume business is being willing to go beyond your comfort zone. You need to be willing to learn new things. You need to be willing to listen to different perspectives, and you need to be willing to do the boring parts of running a business and of doing the artwork. Because even doing like artistry, it's boring. Like you have to order supplies, you have to sit down on a hard little chair and hunch over and measure things and record things, but it's worth it in the end. It's like having written versus writing sometimes, but I do enjoy it, which is why I keep doing it. But it's a slog, and I want you to be fully cognizant of that. It's a fun slog, but it's still work. So part of what it takes to start and run your own perfume business is work, doing the boring thing, getting out of your comfort zone, and being willing to fail for a little while until the success starts to come in. If you like this video and you are interested in producing your own perfumes, that is a service I provide. If you are looking for print runs of perfume, be it bespoke or through our in-house range, you can email me on the details below. You can contact me on the website below as well. And thank you for watching.